Okay, chapter 4.1. Translate a sentence into an English equation and solve. Okay, this is a word problem, but we have to, okay, for word problem, we have to write, an expression or equations based on the sentence or phrase. So first we need to translate this sentence into an equation. Okay, this is an equation. When we translate, do you remember the previous chapters? Less than B, A more than B, the sum of, the difference of, and the product of, all those things. So always, first one comes first. So, A plus B, then A comes first and B comes later. But there are special case. That special case is, remember, A less than B. A less than B, or A more than B, or A added to B, or A subtracted from. Subtracted from B. So in this case, we have to write the second part first, always. So A less than B is B minus A more than B is B plus A added to B is B plus A subtracted from B is B minus A. So except these special cases, always the first numbers comes first. Alright, so based on this information, let's translate this sentence. Okay, sentence means it has a subject, verb, and complement. So the verb represents equal sign. So 2 times the sum of a number and 8 equals. So here it is an equals. This is the verb. So this will be an equal sign. So this is the left side of the equation, and this part will be the right side of the equation. Okay, and then solve it. So let's write the expression on the left side of the equation. Okay, 2 times the sum of a number. Okay, 2 times it means 2 multiplied by something, and that something is the sum of. A sum means add two values. So we must have and. So this and will be replaced by plus, right? Plus. So sum of A and B, a number. So sum of a number. So we don't know this number, so we will let it be a variable x. Okay. So the left hand side is n times. So n multiplied by something, and this something is a sum. So put parenthesis. Sum of the first number is x. The second number is 8. So this is the left side of the equation. So equals the sum of 4 times. So right side, the expression for the right side is also the sum. Okay, sum. So we must have something A and B. So here it is and. So 4 times the number n. So n will be the plus and 6. So the sum means adding 2 things. So 4 times. The first part is this one. 4 times. So 4 multiplied by a number, the number. So this number is what? Same as this number, x. So 4 times x plus 6. So this is the equation that we just translated. All right, then we need to solve this so that we can find x. Okay, I'm sorry. This is, okay, we are 4 times. This is 4 times, right? Why did I write n? So it's 2 times. So 2 times. Okay, that is 2 times. So 2 times. Right? 2 times the sum of a number and 8. Okay, so let's solve an x. So when we solve an x, we need to distribute. So this will be 2x plus 2 times 8 is 16. 4x plus 6. Okay, and then minus 4x each side. Then negative 2x plus 16 equals 6. X is separated. There are 2 x terms and they are separated. So we will collect the x terms. So we moved 4x from the right side to the left. All right, and then we have a negative 2x. So let's get rid of 16 from the left. So minus 16 each side. Then negative 2x equals negative 10. And then what do we do next? Okay, get rid of this negative 2 so that we can find x. So we need to divide each side by x, negative 2. So finally, x is equal to 5. Negative, negative is positive, right? So the number in the question is 5. Okay, let's try next example. Problem 1. Okay, translate 9 less than. Okay, here you go. Here is less than, right? Less than. So we will write the 9 comes later. Okay? Don't write 9 first because this is less than. So 9 less than twice the number is. Here is the verb. So this is represent equal sign. So this is the subject, which is the left, which will be the expression for the left side of the equation. And this will be the right side of the equation. So 9 less than twice the number. So number, I don't know this number, so always make it a variable x. So we will write twice the number first. Twice the number means 2 times a number. So let's make x minus 9. Can you see it? So 9 less than b, a less than b. So write the second expression first. So that is equal to, is means equal, is means equals 5 times. Here's the 5 times. Okay, so 5 multiplied by something. So this something is sum, right? Sum. So we need to put a parenthesis because we don't, this is sum. So 5 is multiplied by this whole sum, right? Sum. So sum of the number is same as this number x, and is what? Plus, right? Plus 12. So this is the equation. So let's solve for the number. Okay, the number is x. Okay, so here's the parenthesis. So always clear the parenthesis. 2x minus 9 distribute. So 5x plus 5 times 12, 60. Good. Alright, and x terms are separated. X terms are on each side, so we will collect the x terms. So why don't we move 5x from right to the left and then combine. Then there is 3x, negative 3x minus 9 is equal to 60. Again, negative 3x, so move minus 9 to the right. So that is, we do plus 9 each side. Then, okay, let's come over here. Then negative 3x is equal to 69. Next, okay, get rid of this coefficient negative 3 by dividing the equation by this number, negative 3. So x equals, okay, the sign is negative, and 69 divided by 3 is 23, right? So the number is negative 23. Okay, I think our calculus is correct. Twice number, get 9 less than the twice number is equal to 5 times the sum of x and 12. All right. Okay, so let's try the next definition. Okay, integers. What are the integers? You know, integers is 0, 1, 2, 3, and the negative integers, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and so on. But let's say, you know, if it keeps going, then let's say n is an integer. N is an integer. Then the next integer is always 1 more than the previous number, right? So if this is n, then the next integer will be 1 more than the previous number, so n plus 1. We call this consecutive integers. Consecutive integers means, you know, they are the integers next to each other. So if let's say 10 is an integer, then next consecutive integer is 11, because 10 plus 1 is 11. So that's called consecutive. How about odd integers? Okay, odd integers are 2 actually even and odd and even integers have a difference of 2, right? So if it starts from 1, then 1, 3, 5, 7, always 2 more than the previous number. So if the first integer is n, then what's the next integer? N plus 2, always 2 more than the previous number, right? Always 2 more, because if this is n, then next integer will be n plus 2. So we call this 2 consecutive odd integers. Okay, even integers same. Even integers starts from even number. So 0, 2, 4, 8, 6, 8, and so on. So if n is an even number, let's say 10, then what's the next even integer? 2 more than 10, so it will be 12, right? So this n represents, in this case, even integer, and in this case, odd integer. In this case, just an integer, right? An integer. So based on this information, the consecutive numbers is, if it's integer, then add 1. If it is odd integer or even integers, we add 2 to this one. So that is called consecutive integers. Okay, so based on this, let's solve example 2. Find 3 consecutive even integers. It says consecutive even integers. How many? 3 of them. So let's say n is, we don't know. So we don't know what the even integer starts. So if n is the first integer, then what's the next consecutive integer? Even integer? Always 2 more than the previous number, right? So n plus 2. This is the second consecutive even integer. Then what's the third even integer? 2 more than the previous one, which is n plus 2. So 4. Make sense? So if n is 10, then next even is 12, next even is 14, right? So 10 plus 2 is 12, 12 plus 2 is 14. So since we don't know the first even integer, we will set it as n, the value of n. Okay? So n plus n. So there are 3 consecutive integers like this: n plus 2, and n plus 4. Okay, so now these 3 consecutive even integers will make this one 3 times. Okay, 3 times the second integer. So what is the second integer? That is n plus 2, right? This is the second integer, this guy. So is means equal sign. So this part is the left side of the equation. So let's write the expression for the subject. Okay, 3 times. So that means 3 times, right? Multiply by the second integer. Second integer is what? N plus 2. Okay, n plus 2. Which is the second integer, right? Second integer. Is means equal sign. Okay, 6 more than, here it is, more than, less than. More than, less than. So we're gonna write the second part first, and then plus 6. So the second part is the sum of, okay, the second part is the sum. We are adding 2 things. Sum of what? The first and the third integers. So first integer and the third integers. So and means plus, right? The sum of first integer, what's the first integer? N, right? N plus the third integer. Third integer is n plus 4. Right? Okay, so you can put parentheses, doesn't matter. Okay, the first integer and the third integer. Okay, plus, more than means plus, right? Plus 6. Okay. So the second part, this is the second part. This is the first part of the right side of the equation. All right, then based on this, let's solve. Okay, so we gotta distribute the left-hand side so that is 3n plus 6 equals, okay, isn't it same as n plus 4 plus 6? Because, this parenthesis means, this parenthesis multiplied by 1, right? 1. So we can just remove this parenthesis. Alright, then simplify each side. 3n plus 6 is equal to 2n plus 10. And then, since n is separated, we will collect the variable terms. So 2n minus 2n each side. Okay, then from here, n plus 6 equals 10. And then what? Move 6 to the other side, so minus 6 each side. X, then n equals 4. All right, so we found the n is the first integer. N is the first integer, right? This is the first integer. First even integer, right? First even integer. So the answer will be starting from 4. The next even integer is 2 more than this one. So 6, and the next one is 8. So this is the solution. So these three numbers are consecutive even integers. All right, so let's try another one. Okay, problem 2. Find 3 consecutive, also same thing, 3 consecutive, this time just an integer. Just an integers. So if n is the first integer, then what's the next integer? 1 more than this number, right? 1 more than this number. And then the next one is 1 more than the previous number, n plus 2. So, and the sum, whose sum is negative 12. That means sum of all these 3 numbers is negative 12, right? This means equal to. So sum of all this number is negative 2. So n plus the second integer is n plus 1 plus the third integer is n plus 2. So this one should be equal to what? Negative 12. Right? Okay, we don't need this parenthesis because it's useless. And if you are multiplying something by 2, then we can distribute. But if there's nothing in it, that means it's 1, right? 1. So when you distribute, this is same as n plus 1. So we can just remove the parenthesis. Okay. So this is n plus n plus n is 3n. Plus 1 plus 2 is 3 equals negative 12. And then minus 3 each side. Then 3n is equal to negative 15. And finally divide each side by 3 because 3 is the coefficient of this n. Divide each side by 3. And then n is equal to what? N equals negative 4. So from here, n equals negative 5. So negative 5 is the first integer. Negative 5, because this is the first integer. So what is the next integer? 1 more than this number. So negative 4, isn't it? Negative 4. Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4, right? Okay, and then the third integer is negative 4 plus 1 is, okay, here, let me write it here. n plus 1 is negative 5 plus 1, which is negative 4. This is the second integer, right? And n plus 2 is, n is negative 5, right? Negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. This is the third integer. So the answer is negative 5, negative 4, negative 3. So this is the integer. 3 consecutive integers whose sum is negative 12. Is it negative 12 actually? Yes, that is correct. Negative 5 minus 4 minus 3 is negative 12. Okay, example 3. Okay, the temperature of the sun on the Kelvin scale. Okay, on Kelvin scale, we use the unit K, 6,500 K. So the temperature of the sun is 6,500 K. Excuse me. And this 6,500 K is, okay, this is, so is equal sign. is. So this means 6,500 K. So let me write it here. 6,500 K. Okay, let me just get rid of the unit. So this is equal to 4,740 degrees less than. So we will write the second expression first. Okay, second expression, and then minus 4,700. Okay, so let me write it as minus something, right? Minus 4,740, and then the second expression is the Fahrenheit of the sun on the Fahrenheit scale, right? So the second expression is this: the temperature of the sun on the Fahrenheit scale. Find the sun's Fahrenheit temperature. So we don't know the temperature. This temperature on the Fahrenheit scale. So Fahrenheit temperature. So let's say this is, let's say F. F stands for temperature of the Fahrenheit of the sun. Okay. So this will be equal to F minus, this is too far away. So F, Fahrenheit, the second expression is F, that is what we are looking for, the temperature of the sun on the Fahrenheit scale. So F minus 4,740. So this is the equation. So we want to find the Fahrenheit temperature. So the temperature in Fahrenheit is this one, right? That's it. So we solve F. And then what do we do? Okay, plus each side by 4,740. 4,740. So Fahrenheit is, this. Okay, so we add up this one, then 0, 4, 2, 1, 0. So if we interchange the side, then the Fahrenheit, the temperature of the sun in Fahrenheit is 10,240 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. I'm sorry, this is 11,000. Okay, this is 11,000, right? 11,000. All right, let's go on to the next example. Okay, a molecule of octane gas has 8 carbon atoms. So the octane gas has 8 carbon atoms, and this represents, so this means 8, right? This means 8. So the number of carbon atoms, right? The number of carbon atoms of octane gas represent means equal sign. This means equal sign. So we can write it as H equals, okay, twice the number. So we will multiply, okay, 2 by something, okay, 2 twice the number of carbon atoms. Okay, I don't know the number of carbon atoms in a butane gas. Okay, butane gas. So let's say this is X. Okay, find the number of carbon atoms in a butane gas molecule. So we want to find this X. So it's pretty simple. So A is equal to 2 times X. The number of, so there are 8 carbon atoms in a molecule of octane gas. So A is equal to twice the number of carbon atoms in butane gas. So 2 times X. That's the equation. So finally, what is X? So divide each side by 2. Then X is equal to 4. Right? So there are 4 carbon atoms. So there are 2 carbon atoms in a butane gas, right? Butane gas molecule. All right. Okay, let's try example 4. Okay, 4, in this case, I think it's better to draw a diagram. A board 10 feet long. So board is 10 feet long. Okay, better use a black color. This is a board. Let's say this is a board. So this board is 10 feet long. 10 feet. Okay. And this is cut into two pieces. So one is the shorter piece, one is longer, like this. And then this shorter piece. So okay, now let's use a red color. Okay, 3 times the length of the shorter piece is. So is means equal sign. So shorter piece, the length of the shorter piece, we don't know this. So let's make it a variable x. Okay, so this is x. And x feet. So 3 times the length of the shorter piece is 3 times x, right? 3 times x is equal to, this is equal. And the right side of the equation is twice the length of the longer piece. So this will be 2 times the longer piece. Okay, so we don't know what this longer piece, right? The length of this longer piece. Do you want to write y? Variable y or z, anything? No, don't use y because we already know this one. We already know the expression for this longer piece. That is because the length of the board is 10 feet, right? 10 feet. So we already used x for the shorter piece, length of the shorter piece. So the length of the longer piece is total minus x, isn't it? Total minus x. This is important. Okay, total minus x. Total length minus x, right? Total length minus x is the longer piece. Okay. So we have to use 10 minus x. So this is equal to 10 minus x. This is really important part. Important part, very important. So always total is given, then use that total. So total minus x is the longer piece. So the longer piece is 10 minus x. So that's the equation. And find the length of each piece. So let's find the shorter piece and the longer piece. Just find x. So this is 3x is equal to distribute. So 20 minus 2x. And then move minus 2x to the left. So plus 2x each side. Then this is equal to 5x. So 5x is equal to 20, right? So from here, 5x is equal to 20 divided by 5. Then x is equal to 4 feet, right? 4 feet. So isn't this a shorter piece, right? X is shorter piece, length of the shorter piece. So the longer piece is what? The longer piece is the length of the longer piece is 10 minus x, right? 10 minus x, which is 10 minus 4 is 6 feet. Okay, so x is 4 feet. The longer piece is 6 feet. All right, let's try the next one. A company manufactured 160 bicycles per day. Okay, so they are producing 160 bicycles, and there are 2 types of bicycles. So let's say there are 3-speed bicycles and 10-speed bicycles. So altogether, it is 160 bicycles. So same thing here. Let me draw a diagram. So there are 2 types of bicycles. One is 3-speed bicycle, 3-speed bicycles, and then 10-speed bicycles. Okay. So altogether, how many? 160 bicycles are manufactured every day. So 4 times the number of 3-speed bicycles made each day equals. So this is the equal sign, right? So the left-hand side is 4 times. 4 times what? The number of 3-speed bicycles. So we don't know what this number of 3-speed bicycles. So let's make x. So 4x is equal to. Then what's the number of the other type? That is total minus x. Okay, total minus x. So it will be 160 minus x. Don't use variables y or z. This should be an expression that is total minus x. Because the number of x is for the 3-speed bicycles. So 160 minus x is the number of 10-speed bicycles. Okay, so if let's say this is the number of 3-speed bicycles is x, then the number of 10-speed bicycles is total minus, right? Total minus x, which is 160 minus x. All right, so that is equal to. The right side of the equation is 30 less than, here's the then, right? Then, so we're going to write the right side first. The right side is the number of 10-speed bicycles, which is 160 minus x. Put parentheses because we are, just to make sure, right? So this one, the second expression, minus 30, because 30 less than the second expression. So this is the equation. So once you set up an equation correctly, solve for x. Okay, x is the number of 3-speed bicycles. So this is for x, and we don't need parentheses, right? Actually, we don't need it. And then simplify each side. So 160 minus 30 is 130 minus x, and then plus x each side. So 5x equals 130. And then divide each side by 5. Divide each side by 5, right? Then x equals 26. So x is 3-speed bicycles, right? There are 26 3-speed bicycles manufactured. And then what is the 10-speed bicycles? 10-speed bicycle is 160 minus x. So 160 minus x, which is 26, is equal to 134 10-speed bicycles. Were produced. Okay, so it's really important. If total is given and it's divided into 2 pieces, then always the second piece is total minus the first piece. Total minus the first piece. All right, we are done for this section.